Hi, Alistair. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about a really common mistake that Spanish speakers make, right? And it's going to be really, really useful for our viewers, I think. And it's all to do with remember and remind, right? Remember and remind. Now, the source of this problem actually comes from one particular Spanish verb, right? And maybe you could tell us a little bit about that. What verb is the real problem here? And what is the key thing that creates the problems?
Well, as happens quite often, and I'm sure we'll do more videos in the future about this, is very often or sometimes you'll have one verb in Spanish that maybe can be used in some different ways or slightly different meanings. And in English, for each of those meanings, maybe we have a different verb. So in this case, you've got recordar. And in English, that can be translated as remember or remind. It depends what you're trying to say. And Spanish speakers I think they all know remember, but not many of them know remind, or they don't really understand what it means. So their default position is nearly always to say remember.
Yeah.
And in Spanish, that's okay, recordar, in both cases. Both we're going to explain the different cases. But in English, you have to choose the correct verb for the situation, depending what you want to say. That is the problem.
That is the problem.
Basically.
That is the key problem. And as you were kind of like hinting at, is kind of like they always choose remember. Remember is the one that they feel more comfortable with, right? They think of recordar and they just kind of go to remember. And some of the time that will be absolutely fine, right? No problems at all. But then there are situations, and we'll cover this now, is exactly when that is not right. And when in fact they should be using remind instead, right? So
exactly.
Yeah, that's the key problem. So what kind of common mistakes might we hear, like in terms of sentences? It might be something like, can you remember me? Something like that, right? Can you remember me to do something, right?
Yeah. So when you need to help somebody to remember to do something, and this is the key thing, in other words, you want somebody not to forget that they need to do something. So,
exactly.
For example, next Sunday in Spain is Father's Day.
Yeah.
So obviously, many people will need to remember if they have a bad memory. So remember is connected to memory.
Of course.
This is the key point also.
Yeah.
So you need to remember to call your dad or your father next Sunday to say Happy Father's Day.
Yeah.
So remember. So in Spanish is recordar.
Yeah.
No. So recuérdame que tengo que llamar a mi padre. So in English would be, well, here is the problem. The Spanish speaker 99 times out of 100, I would say, in my 25 years of teaching English here in Spain, they say, can you remember me?
Yeah.
That I have to call my dad send me a message to remember me.
Yeah.
To call my father.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah.
And it is not remember.
No.
That is not the correct verb.
No.
In this case.
Yeah.
So what would we say, Daniel?
We would say remind. Yeah, we'd have to use remind. Okay, and this is the key use and difference, really, because remember is something maybe just a memory in the past. I can remember going to Toledo. I can remember when I went to Italy. You know, they're just all kind of memories that you have in your brain, right?
Exactly. You have memories of the past, and you're remembering, you're thinking of the past, you're remembering.
And the key thing is you don't really need any help with that remembering process.
Exactly. You remember it yourself.
Exactly.
So usually it's just subject verb. This is another key element in a grammatical sense, apart from the use and the meaning, which is also very important. So you say, I remember when I was young, I always did something.
Sure.
I remember Daniel, do you remember the topic of our previous video?
Yes, actually,
this is our third video.
It is, yeah. And
do you remember what we talked about?
Yeah, I remember in our last video, I think we were talking about me suena, that the key.
Ah, yes, I remember. Now I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
So remembering is this, no? Both of us have our memory in our brain of what we did last week. Or maybe we don't have a memory, I've forgotten.
Yeah.
So I need to remember.
Yeah.
So you have just reminded me.
Ah, yes.
And now we're moving on to the other one.
That's right.
So I said, I can't remember what we did in the previous video.
Yeah.
Can you remind me?
Yes.
Not can you remember me?
Yes. Yeah, that is the
So
key
can
difference
you?
there, isn't it? That's the key
Yeah.
thing. Whether you need some sort of external push or
Mhm.
trigger to help you remember something, right? Or,
Yes.
that is the thing. It's like you can remember many things. All of us can remember many things, right?
Yeah, we have memories. Yeah.
Yes, we can remember all of that stuff. But there are moments where either through accident or by accident, let's say,
Mm.
or through help of somebody or through watching something, you are reminded about something. Okay. And it's,
It brings a memory to your mind, but it's
yes,
something external to you.
yes.
And therefore, I think always, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure if you use remind, you need a subject and an object.
Mhm.
So someone or something reminds you either of something, so it gives you a memory of your past, it triggers a memory,
Yeah.
like you just did. You reminded me what we did in the last video
Yeah.
because I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
So I needed you to remind me.
Yeah.
So there's two people involved here. You remind me.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I remember.
Yeah.
So I remember. That's
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
There's no one else involved in me remembering something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or you could remind me to do something. There's something in the future I need to remember to do.
Yeah.
I mustn't forget to call my dad next Sunday on Father's Day.
Yeah.
So could you please remind me? So send me a WhatsApp message on Saturday night. That'd be very nice of you.
Yeah.
And remind me, hey, Ali, call your dad tomorrow. And my message back to you would be, cheers, Daniel. Thanks for reminding me.
Exactly.
Not thanks for remembering me.
Exactly that.
What
Exactly
would
that.
that mean if I did reply incorrectly?
Yes.
Thanks for remembering me. What am I saying? I'm not saying what I want to say.
No, you're not. You're not saying what you're saying. It's kind of like remembering me is kind of like, yeah, I don't even, it's kind of just seems a little bit out of context, to be honest, doesn't it? It just like doesn't really, for me,
Yeah, well,
doesn't work at all, really. But
it's like, do you have a memory in your mind of me?
yes, exactly. That's
Which
true.
means, like, do you know who I am? Do you remember me?
Mm.
So imagine I met you at a party 3 years ago, and I talked to you for 20 minutes in the party.
Yeah.
I meet you again in another party, and I say, coming back to a previous video that you reminded me of,
Okay.
said, you look familiar. I've seen you before somewhere. No, your face rings a bell.
Yes.
And you say, oh yeah, yes. Do you remember me?
Yeah.
We spoke in a party 3 years ago for 20 minutes about something.
Yeah.
And you say, oh yes, I remember you.
Yeah.
So it's having a memory of someone
Yes.
from the past.
Yes.
So if I answer your WhatsApp when you're reminding me that I need to call my dad the next day, I'd say, thank you for reminding me, not thank you for remembering me. You'd say, what do you mean? Of course I remember you. I speak to you every day. How could I forget you?
Exactly. That's kind of why it's kind of very difficult for me to think about what that actually would mean in that context. But yes, that's absolutely right.
It's quite complicated, but
Yeah.
I hope the examples we're giving are illustrating the difference between the two things. No?
Yeah. In a nutshell, it basically is the difference is, remember, as we kind of said several times now, but I think it's just worth it kind of reiterating it, is that remember is a memory that you have by yourself and that you can easily access it, right? Whereas when you remind somebody, or something reminds you of something, or you're asking somebody for help to remember something,
to not forget,
yes, then you will use that alternative verb, which is remind. Can you remind me that I need to go to the dentist or whatever?
Yeah.
Can you remind me that it is Father's Day on Sunday, because I'm gonna forget, right?
Yeah. If you don't remind me, I'll forget.
Yeah.
So I need you to help me not to forget. That's
Exactly.
what it means.
Yeah.
So now we have mobile phones and we have alarms. What many people do for many events. So things you need to remember to do that you mustn't forget to do, like calling your mother on her birthday, for example, is you put an alarm, you set an alarm on your phone that makes a noise, beep, beep, or I don't know, whatever it does. And that alarm reminds you that you need to do something.
Yeah. Again,
So you set an alarm to remind you to call your mother on her birthday
exactly.
and not to forget.
Again, in this case, also, it's a good example, because you could say, okay, what can remind you? Well, it can be somebody, but it can be something too, right? It doesn't have to be somebody. So in this case, is actually that the phone is reminding you that you need to do something, or whatever it might be.
Very useful now. Phones, you don't need people to remind you anymore. Your phone can remind you that you need to do something. It's very useful.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's good. Hopefully that's kind of made it really, really clear. And I guess we have to remember to ask people to give a like to this video, right?
Exactly.
We do have to remember about that. I was going to give you a reminder about that, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for reminding me. Though we do need to say that, please, look for the videos. What would they have to search for to find?
Well, they could search for, obviously, Transforma tu Inglés Profesional, obviously. That's,
I think is the best.
Yes. And that's basically the name of the podcast too. So yeah, that's easy. So but
the same, and then give us a like, as people always say in their YouTube videos, and subscribe.
Yeah.
I don't really know what that means. Well, I know what it means. I don't know if it helps, but every YouTube video I ever watch is, please like and subscribe. That really helps us.
Absolutely.
So, please help us.
Absolutely.
I don't know why. I don't know how, but
in this case, we are reminding our viewers in this particular case that they should like and subscribe our videos. Absolutely.
Yeah. And if they click on that little bell in the top right-hand corner, I think.
Yeah.
People in YouTube videos are always pointing to things, but we haven't quite got to that stage. They go, point to the bell here, I think.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch this video back to see if anywhere near where it actually is. We're not professionals.
No,
we're amateurs.
Yeah, beginners. Yeah.
So the bell, I think, gives you a notification of when a new video appears. No? So that bell reminds you, like the alarm on your phone, that you have a new Transforma tu Inglés Profesional video to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it reminds you. The bell reminds you to watch the video. So
good stuff.
There's another example.
Yeah, actively using that vocabulary that we've just taught our viewers. Absolutely. Fantastic. Great, Alistair. So thanks a lot. And I'll see you in the next video. All right.
Yeah. So, don't forget Father's Day, please. And remind me.
I will remind you. I will remind you.
I don't want to forget.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Speak soon. Cheers. See you then.
See you next week.
Bye.
Ciao.